Hello and welcome to Goa 365's Story Behind the Story. Now, this COVID storm has been raging for some time now, and not to make it political, but for the past month or so, the government has been caught unawares by the speed at which the infections have taken off, as well as the deaths. Now things are slowly falling in place, at least we hope. And so with us, a distinguished panel, I can say, who have been part of this. They have been very, They have been very proactive in putting out their videos and putting out their suggestions and help on everywhere, so that our people can be better educated, know more, and basically sort of to allay the panic of what is set in many places in the state. With us is Dr. Lenny Da Costa from Margao. His specialty is in geriatrics, plus besides that he's a GP who's also very much involved in this full COVID fight. He's part of the government task force. Welcome, Dr. Lenny. Dr. Poonam Sambhaji, who's in pediatrics. She's a part of the IMA, as well as she's been very active in trying to allay fears of mothers regarding the full pandemic in the state. Welcome, Dr. Poonam. And Shruti has been doing something which probably the government should have been doing, but she's doing a good job of it. She's trying to get people connected. There's been a major shortage of oxygen, of beds. People don't know where to go, whom to approach. So Shruti has been very active and very effective in fulfilling that role. Welcome, Shruti, to our show. I would like to go sequentially. There is nothing know this about it, but I would like to start with Dr. Lenny. Doctor, tell us, what is the situation, what you think people should do, and so as to sort of bring some logic and some rationality to this whole thing. Doctor.
So that's a very, very nice question. Let me start by saying most of people who have any kind of symptoms and they suspect that they've got COVID, the first thing is to stay calm. Second is to self-isolate. Don't wait for results of your test to self-isolate. Isolate on the day one itself. Contact your doctor, ask him and tell him about your symptoms, and if he decides that you should start medications, please start. But the one thing is important: don't rush to hospitals. Don't get panicky, because the more panicky you get, you start releasing a lot of cortisol in your body, which shuts your immune system down, and that enhances the chances of your ordinary mild infection becoming very severe infection. So the first thing is to stay calm, contact your doctor, self-isolate, then you can do everything else that your doctor advises. So that's the first thing that you should do at home. So if you are infected, always take medications which the doctor says, stay calm at home, stay hydrated, sleep well, and most importantly, move in the house, because if you keep sleeping all the time or sitting on the couch, you're only going to get sicker. So you need to move a little bit, hydrate yourself regularly, well hydrate in fact, because these days it's really, really tough because of the heavy heat and the summer, and ensure that you sleep well in the night, because if you don't sleep well, you're also not going to let your body fight the virus. So these are some of the things that you can do which are in your hands as general public and as patients. The doctor can only advise you.
Yes, Lenny. Thanks, Lenny. Dr. Poonam, now specifically kids, mothers, on that, can we get some details, some awareness, because there is not much being done on that front. Everybody is talking about older people and geriatrics.
Yeah, so what happens is, see, children are otherwise also known to get cough, cold, fever almost throughout the year. Like as we say, less than 3 years of age, child will fall sick at least 7 to 8 times in a year, and about 3 years of age till 6 years, they will fall sick at least 5 to 6 times in a year. So on an average, if you see, almost every 1.5 to 2 months, the child tends to fall sick. Now, in a scenario like this, like a COVID scenario, parents get totally panicky when the baby even feels hot to touch, warm to touch. Gurge maje garam lagta. They get sick the moment they say, आंग दगदगीत लगता. is the word that most of the Goans will. Aang dagdagit lagta, dugdugit lagta. Okay. So first advice would be aang dagdagit laguni, dugdugit laguni. Please take a digital thermometer, put it in the underarm of your baby, check the temperature. That is the first thing. And just for simplicity, I would say check your baby's temperature in degree Fahrenheit. And if it is above 99.5 or 100, then your baby has fever. Do not get simply panicky. We have patients running to us. Sir, doctor, there's a temperature 95 asa. Doctor, there's a temperature 97 asa. These are not fever. Fever is above 99.5 to 100 and above is fever. And if you're following degrees Celsius, 37.5 degrees Celsius and above is your fever. That is your first thing. Now, no need of running to the hospital, as Dr. Lenny said rightly. Okay, the first thing is first aid at home. So first would be try to isolate the baby. Now, isolation of baby is a big task for parents because child is not going to stay alone. So one of the parent has to sacrifice himself or herself. So one of the parent is going to stay with the baby in a separate room in the house, which has a separate toilet and bathroom. Mind you, when you do isolation, we require a separate toilet bathroom in that house. If you are having a one bedroom flat with only one toilet bathroom, you cannot isolate yourself in that house. So you need to either shift out from the house to isolation facilities, or try to see that you stay somewhere away from the family so that you cannot infect the rest of the family. Number one. Number two, give fever medicine to the baby. The simplest one being paracetamol, which any of your doctor, most of the doctors must have already prescribed it to their patients. Every time you go for cough and cold and fever, you have that paracetamol with you. So use that. And on that same bottle, at one side, it is written, if your child is of this many kgs, or if the child is of this age, this is the amount of medicine that you are going to give. So give that medicine every 6 hourly. And sometimes parents ask me, Doctor, 4 varani do rehta. You can give it every 4 hourly, provided you are checking the baby's temperature. Don't give it very often. You cannot give it more below 4 hours of gap. Minimum is 4 hours of gap. So just do not give it because the baby's aang is dugduge. Temperature check. As Dr. Lenny rightly said, you have to hydrate them well, keep them well hydrated. So one of the complaints is to kaits khaina. So you don't bother to khata ki na. Bother whether the baby is drinking. To pita ki na te pado paise. Okay, so you have to see that the baby drinks a lot of fluid. Now the fluid may be water, fruit juice, ORS, tender coconut water, rice water, dal water, barley water, any fruit juice or any liquid that is made at home, even milk, buttermilk, dahi, anything will do. Okay, so that is a second thing, that is hydration. And keep the baby, in a play mode within the house. Don't get panicky. See, we know that many families are getting infected, and it is something. It's a big calamity that is come upon all the people. Everywhere, it is everywhere, not only in Goa, it is everywhere. So we have to keep our cool, calm, and try to manage. One more thing is, as Dr. Lenny said, please do not run to the hospital just for fever. If there is fever, please teleconsult your doctors. Because all the doctors are also very less in number. If you go on going to the doctor for each and every fever, and if many of you may be positive for the test, you are simply infecting the people who are in the clinic and the doctor, because that one doctor is going to treat so many other people. We are simply putting that minority community in a very stress. So if there is fever, first day please teleconsult your doctor, see what they are saying, and work accordingly.
Yes, thanks, doctor. I'll get back on the second one. Now, Shruti, tell us now. This is doctor's advice, specialist. But today in Goa, we are having problems regarding basically connectivity. Connect the doctors to the patients, beds, food. Generally, it can be quite messy, and it can be quite, especially in that state of panic. So this is where you come in. This is the initiative that you've taken. Could you explain to us what exactly is it? What do you do?
Yes. So rightly said, the problem starts, where do I call, who do I call, where do I go, I'm not able to breathe, where is the bed available? These are the things that are not available at this point in the public domain anywhere. So we started on 19th of April, like very recently, and we thought, okay, like people at least need to know, and it started by us wanting to help our friends and our neighbors to figure out कि आपको अगर COVID हुआ है, who is going to give you food, who is going to cook for you, who is going to deliver the medicines. You have government quarantine kits, who is going to come and deliver it at your home if you already have COVID. So we started with collecting data of people who want to volunteer, of people who can drive around, who can deliver medicines, pharmacies who can deliver in the 3-kilometer radius of their areas, test centers, labs who can go home. Now in Goa there are so many elderly who are living on their own and don't have their kids staying here, and they are not able to go out, especially when they've already fallen sick. So yeah, it started with us collecting a lot of data, and now we've made all of that public data live on our website called covidcaregoa.in. Where you can find right from people who will take care of your pets if you get COVID, to people who will make nutritious, healthy, home-cooked food and deliver at your place, restaurants that will deliver at your place, pharmacies that will come at your house and do the test, to the doctors who can do telecommunication. And just yesterday we listed some 400 rooms ka inventory of the hotels who are ready to make it into an isolation ward, because we've been getting so many calls of people who don't have a big house to isolate. Like how Dr. Poonam said, it's a very, very valid thing that people don't have a room to isolate. So there are a lot of hotels that have also opened up into isolation wards, because honestly, like I've been to the hospitals and I cannot tell you the state of the hospitals that they are in, right from people having no beds to the best of the hospitals I'm talking about. People are sleeping on the floor for 2 days and having backaches, to toilets that are overflowing. Imagine if there's a pregnant woman who uses those toilets, there is no way you do not get a UTI after using that toilet. So the problems are manifold. So we put together a website and we put together a volunteers network. So as of today, there is no way from the authority, the administration, to know where are the beds available. आप रोज शाम को bulletin में देखोगे there are 200 beds vacant, 300 beds vacant, and all we ask is tell us where are these beds vacant, and we have still not been able to figure that out. So our volunteers physically go to the hospitals to check if there is a bed availability or not, and what kind of bed availability is it, before we recommend people who are panicking at home if you should take your patient to this hospital or not. So it's quite a difficult position, and we are all like a bunch of entrepreneurs and innovators and tech people who are just trying to put together our skills into use and create something that will be helpful for Goans. And one thing that we are still lacking is हम लोग अभी भी उन्हीं लोगों की मदद कर पा रहे who are on WhatsApp, who know what Twitter is, who know what Instagram is. There is a huge chunk of population that does not know anything about it, and we've still not been able to through them. So now we are also collaborating with a lot of media platforms who do Konkani content, who do Marathi content, to be able to reach out to them. We are making Konkani pamphlets to reach out, to tell them, okay, this is a WhatsApp group, आपको ये link पर click करके you have to come here and you can put your query. So we are getting queries from all kinds of people, all different socio-economic status across Goa, and the problem is way worse than how much we have been able to see sitting at our home.
Yeah, probably we'll be able to help you on that. We can discuss that later. Lenny, I'll get back to you. Now, I would like to, the solutions we can discuss about later, but let us just break it a little bit. Now, here there are basically 3 segments of people who are going to get affected. One are the younger segment, we'll keep that for later. And the middle, which was normally what people, the office going crowd and stuff, and the older. So I would like you to start from the older. What are the issues they will be facing, what they are going to be facing, and what they should do. Then we can go into the 40 to 50, 60, and then from 18 to, and then Dr. Poonam can give us from the side of the ladies. But I would like to start off from the geriatrics, the older people, the older citizens who are basically, I mean, they're really in a bad shape. Don't pay too much attention to the figures, but we know what actually is happening. Doctor Lenny.
Yeah. So the elderly age group are the most vulnerable to this pandemic at this point in time. They were in the first wave. They are worst in the second wave. Now, in this wave, the second wave, many of them are actually getting it because they're going out to honestly and innocently to get themselves vaccinated. And because of the huge crowds there, some of them get infected there. The other way they get infected is people who are already may have been COVID positive in the past. Now they are not, they may not show any symptoms, but the chances are that they can be carriers. So they do get it from them as well, maybe from their own relations or within their house. But then once they get it, they are prone to a lot of issues because they have comorbidities with, from which they suffer, like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. And secondly, their own nutrition is pretty bad. As you grow older, your thirst center is not really very strong. So your hydration is also low. And that doesn't help you in any way because your immune system is really starved by then. And once you get hit by the virus, unlike the first time when COVID-19, you used to see this really bad cytokine storms happening on the 10th day. Today we are seeing cases much earlier, even on the 5th and 7th day, especially in these elderly people. And they don't get any symptoms sometimes. Their symptoms could be as non-discrete as a diarrhea that they used to get regularly, or just like a cough, or just a headache, and then suddenly end up in the hospital with all kinds of problems. So these are the things that are happening at this point in time. So what our suggestion to most elderly is, if you do feel that you are feeling sick or you're having any issues, always have a pulse oximeter with you at home, have a nebulizer with you at home, and ensure that you contact your doctor at the first thing that you have a problem with. If you have fever, start with a paracetamol that will keep your fever down, but contact your doctor and take advice immediately. Also self-isolate, wear a mask, don't come in contact with anyone without a mask, and wash your hands with soap as far as possible. So see, these are some of the advice that we give the elderly, especially when they are at home, because when they're at home, they can't go out. They depend on other people coming to deliver stuff. So when they are opening their doors, when they are picking up stuff from other people who are coming in, the idea is to always wear a mask, come what may, and wear the mask even on your nose. The nose has to be covered. I've seen people wearing the mask just below the nose. It doesn't make sense. Style. Don't use that kind of mask. Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. So you wear your mask properly if you want to prevent. See, when you wear the mask, one thing is you prevent other people from getting sick. Also, you are something that can fall on you and you getting sick. One. Number two, wash your hands after you have picked up what you have. Wash your hands with soap. I mean, that old habit now putting or rather the recent craze of putting the sanitizer. I would rather say it's much better to actually use a soap and wash yourself, because the soap actually gets rid of any kind of virus on your hands. So that is the second thing that they need to do. The third is drink water every hour these days. Drink water every hour, because if you get fever, the first thing you're going to get is dehydrated. And in the elderly, the moment they have electrolyte imbalance, it is a tough thing to handle. They'll end up in the hospital, then it's very, very tough. So these are the three things I would suggest every elderly person to do at home when they're at home. If they have any semblance, or if they feel that they're sick, don't panic. Just contact your doctor over the phone, get his advice, use the pulse oximeter to check whether your SpO2 levels are going down. SpO2 levels below 95, a little cause of concern. Below 92, you need to get to a doctor and ask him what to do, and then look for admission if the doctor advises. Sometimes doctors manage you at home if you don't have any other complications. So you need not worry even if your SpO2 falls at 92, but you have to be in touch with your doctor. That's the advice at the moment.
Okay, let me go to Dr. Poonam. We'll get back to the other age groups. Doctor, now this is a general advice that Dr. Lenny has given, but for women and for mothers, in a slightly, is there anything you specifically they need to do, because there will be some specific suggestions, advice you need to give, doctor?
Okay, so specific advice I would be regarding the mothers who are breastfeeding the babies.
Okay.
Because this is what I am, multiple queries are coming on this. Doctor, I have become positive. Can I breastfeed my baby? Doctor, I have become positive. Can I keep my baby with me? Should I send my baby to someone else, like to my mother, to my father who are elderly? Okay, they are all confused state. Like if I'm positive, I will transmit it to my baby. Okay, my baby is 1 month old, my baby is 10 months old also. So I'll take that part, okay, because this is something which is really affecting the mothers, it makes the mothers worry a lot. So mothers who are COVID positive and who are breastfeeding their babies, will continue to breastfeed their babies the way they were breastfeeding earlier. Only thing, if possible, and try to wear a surgical mask when you are breastfeeding the baby. Okay, so a smaller baby will be okay with that surgical mask around, but bigger babies who are like 10 months, 1 year old, they just snatch your mask and they remove it. They just snatch it, the mask, and they remove it, because this is what we see even in our OPD. When the babies come, they just look at the mother, like someone who is never wearing a mask is suddenly wearing some cloth in front of her face. They just go on removing it. Okay, in that case, as much as possible, try to wear it. If not, like we cannot just force the mother to wear 24/7 mask with that baby. Okay, but as much as possible, like when the baby is sleeping, you go close to the baby to do some work, see that you are in the mask within the baby's radius. Okay, that is number one. While breastfeeding, wear a mask as much as possible. Continue breastfeeding, because studies have shown that mothers who are COVID positive, the virus is not found in the breast milk. Okay, in the breast milk, the virus is not found in that. But on the contrary, the antibodies which the mother is forming during this infection are transferred to the baby. So it is on the contrary giving additional benefit to your baby by breastfeeding the baby. Okay, so that would be my one question that most of the times parents ask me: the breastfeeding during COVID infection.
Okay, yeah, doctor, we'll get back to you on other issues. I want to go to Shruti on one. Now, you spoke about the situation. Basically, I think connectivity, coordination, planning. I want to know specifically, what are the specific problems you all are facing, either in terms of getting in people or connecting with the various organs which you need for this thing to actually work. What are the problems you all are facing, Shruti?
One of the biggest problems we're facing is finding out where the beds are available. Beds are available where oxygen is available and where ventilators are available, because there is no centralized government data, and the doctors who we've been able to get in touch with at almost every hospital we've covered so far, they are always wearing a PPE kit, right? So it's very difficult for them to pick up the phone call and answer if there is a bed available or not. So having the real-time data is very difficult, and having to send our volunteers every single time to go and check. We are also putting them at risk of getting COVID. So I think this is the biggest problem that we have. Other than that, in terms of pharmacy, in terms of oxygen suppliers, we have been able to take care of a lot of things. In fact, we are also ordering our own oxygen concentrators that we will be donating at government hospitals, so that more patients are being taken care of, because Goa does have an oxygen problem, because I don't think we have our own oxygen plant. So yes, like these are the two big problems. Other than that, I think we've been able to take care of almost every single thing, but we don't know how long we'll be able to do this, because right now we are 55 of us, and all of us are keeping since 1.5 weeks. All of us are working like 14-15 hours a day, leaving aside our day jobs and just doing this and answering people in panic. So I think government needs to have a helpline number that actually works. Like right now, if you call on 104, they will take your call, they will give you some number, and that number won't answer, and then you call back at 104 and they will tell you, okay, we can't do, we just know this much. So this doesn't really help anybody at all. So I think the government really, as soon as possible, needs to have a real-time update on where the beds are available and where patients can book it and go before, because there are so many times we recommend it to patients, and by the time the patient reaches, the bed gets taken away. So we need a real-time data. We need a helpline that actually works. And we need a helpline where people can keep calling. So right now we have a WhatsApp group that's as simple as what we could come up with, where people post their queries and we answer them. So a lot of awareness needs to be created about a lot of things. Say for example, home isolation, right? Now you need to enroll, you have to go on a website to enroll for a home isolation. Now think of an elderly who is 85, 90-year-old. How do they know how to navigate through goagovernmentonline.gov.in? Our volunteers having that there is no service available from the side of the administration, because you've made the process so complicated already for people who don't know internet, who don't know technology. To be able to do this maybe for the next 2 months. Right now we've made a very streamlined, efficient process that everybody. Right now we also have Goans who are outside of the country, so that they can stay awake when us Indians are sleeping, so that there is always somebody there to answer their queries. Yeah. So I think government needs seeing this through, maybe they can adopt our model because it's working not just in Goa, it's worked in Ahmedabad, it's worked in Lucknow, it's worked in Raipur, and we have done this in multiple cities. So maybe just take it from us. There is no ego clash. Just roll it out and help people. Like, you know, we just need to, like, a 104 is as simple. We know we can't do a helpline because we are not dedicated professionals. So I think we need a helpline that works. Ambulances that reach on time. There are ambulances that are reaching late by 8 hours. Like, if you book it right now, the next ambulance who is going to come to take you will come after 8 hours. So, and then
One second, let me just interrupt. Let me just interrupt. Now, you're saying the ambulance comes after 8 hours. So that means, suppose if you've got fever and if you're all that, you have to wait for 8 hours before the ambulance picks in Goa?
Yes, in Goa, like ambulances are coming. So right now we have some private ambulance providers, like really good drivers who उनको भैया भैया करके please बोल के उनको भेजना पड़ता है. And we send them, like we feed them, and these people are going right now because government ambulances are completely stretched. Even at the hospitals now, the kind of queries that we get, and we cannot solve those problems, is there are beds, but there are no doctors and nurses because everything is super stressed. So there are patients who are getting a visit from the doctor after 1 hour, 1 day or 2 days. Now that is also another problem, and we don't really know how to solve it. But it's a very comprehensive approach of the government. We can help with technology, we can help with our manpower, but that is all that we can do.
Doctor, we'll get back after the break. Keep watching.